choice, but all right,
Bro.
I'll click go live now. We're going live now.
All right.
Once
All
Mark
right.
gets on Photoshop, it's
Oh, dude.
it's just a downhill slope.
I'm gonna be on a watch list or something.
What's going on, guys? We're live. We've made this probably honestly. If I clicked go live about like 2 minutes before, you would have gotten a detail that will be left on. Just we're just gonna leave it where it's at. I'm not gonna say any shit. So
It's mysterious.
it's mysterious. But hello, guys. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is the Ansible. They can go say their names, what they do in the band, all that jazz.
What's up, everybody? I'm Derril. I am the vocalist.
What's up?
Hey.
I'm Nigel. I play bass.
Yo, I'm Mark. I play guitar.
I'm Greg, and I play guitar.
There we go. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. Usually I just have Derril on to do these interviews, but luckily I have more of you. So this is even better than I could have ever imagined, especially hearing the comments I heard earlier. We're going to have a blast. So anyway, for those of you who don't know, please go check out the Ansible. I'll leave all applicable links below. And they released an album last year, Existing to Repeat, an extended play of the Isolated Mindset, which was one of my favorites from last year. And I foresee a lot of really good shit happening with this band going further. So I am excited. Okay, I know very poor choice of words considering there was an inside joke that was mentioned earlier. Again, none of you will understand it, but everybody in this chat understands my very poor choice of words. Anyway, I'm very excited. I think this EP is very sick, and if you haven't listened to it, then you should definitely listen to it. And I was saying to the guys before we hopped on live that if you can make it in my rotation for like a solid couple months, then that's some good staying power. So I really like this EP a lot, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I have. The first track is From Here We Fade. I can't remember. I believe was Let's Drop was the first track, guys, that you released as the single, correct?
Yeah, we did the
right.
video where we kidnapped Mark.
The Mark
abducted.
announcement, yeah. So how are you hanging in, Mark? After they abducted you, I mean, I know we're on live, so if people need to find out if you're safe or not, then just blink twice, and we'll make sure you're okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have a whole new life now. I got thrown in a van and taken to warehouses, but I'm still here, bro.
Yeah, you're still alive, so I think that's good. I'm glad they're holding you up in someone's basement, somewhere. I just want to make sure you're okay because you got abducted. So this is the first.
How many
time
times was I supposed to blink again?
I'm just gonna call Mark after this, and we're just gonna make sure he's all right, by the end of this. But I'm excited for this track. This one, I think I just have had a really hard time to pick out one of my favorites from this EP, just because I really enjoy all of them. They all bring like a unique flavor to the record. Is there any? I guess we can kind of go in order, but which one of the songs was one of your favorites? I know it's like picking your favorite child, I'm sure, but is there anyone that I guess holds a special place in your heart as being one of
This
your favorites?
one is this is actually probably mine. What the fuck?
Yo, dog.
All right, we're good. We're good.
We're good.
Oh,
Oh
boy.
shit! What up?
All right.
Oh man,
All right, Nigel, you were saying.
you came in hot. This actually is my favorite track. This is, I don't know, it just has a really, really nice groove to it, but I also just like everything that Derril's doing, and the chorus is really cool and it's really unique. And I don't know.
I like this song. Honestly, Brandon, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where I don't necessarily have a favorite. I have favorite parts of each of them.
Sure. Yeah.
But for this one, like, I just really wanted it to emulate, like, that feeling of anxiousness when, like, you can't accomplish something, even though you're trying really fucking hard to do it. You know, just you know. Sorry for the demonetization, by the way.
I would say From Here We Fade's probably the closest to a favorite I would have on the EP.
Ooh, okay.
But I love all the layers that I don't know, just like hits a certain spot in me that just feels really like satisfying. So I think that's my number one.
Yeah.
Greg, what's your choice?
It's tough because I really like From Here We Fade too. It's a bit of everything that we tried on the EP.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my favorite song at the end of the day is probably Unit 1.
Ooh, okay.
I can feel that.
Which I'm sure, like, if you listened to us before we did this EP, you may not like this song, but that's my favorite song on there, for sure.
Ooh, okay. Oh, we got. I feel like you guys are kind of split down the middle a little bit, you know. I would say for myself, not to kind of jinx it a little bit, but I probably would say I actually like the first and last track the most. I'd say From Here We Fade and In the Shade.
I feel that.
No rhyme intended, but
Yeah, I never noticed that, actually.
It's on the rhyme.
it's on
That's
this.
what it's about. We intended it that way.
I knew it. Unlocking some truth that I already knew existed. But yeah, I think after listening, I probably have listened to this EP. Oh man, anywhere between 75 and 100 times now, probably since it's been released. So
I think that's more than I've listened to it.
I would probably. I don't know. That's really tough. I do. Like Derril said earlier, I do have a special place for all of them, but I think as musical pieces, I'd probably say it's either From Here We Fade or In the Shade. I think those two are the ones that when I'm listening to the EP, I'm like, man, that first track hits, and I was like, that last track is just like kind of similar. It definitely hits it a different way too, but I think those two definitely stand out. But I like Greg mentioned Unit 1 because that one took me by surprise when I first listened to the EP. I was like, damn, this one's really fucking tight. But I don't know. I feel like I'm being put on the spot, but I also feel like I've known the answer for like a long time, you know. But we'll get into the first track, guys, which is From Here We Fade. Again, links will be below to check it out, but we're going to be listening to it right now, so we can listen to it together. So, all right, guys, here's the track in 3, 2, 1.
Goddamn, man, I'm sick of this shit. I just can't get it right. Another wasted attempt at this dream, and it seems that it won't see the light. Now I'm on my way home, making feet broken pride. Goddamn, I'm feeling hateful. Feel the weight of all my failures, losing faith in all my efforts. Now the tears are streaming down my face, and I am unsure where we go from here. From here we fade into the night. We saw the from here we fade out of sight. Just us back in the night. Cones fire, jet spires, spirals in place. One final breath escapes, and we blaze out and we fold and fall spectrum embrace. We leave this cones fire, jet spires, spirals in place. One final breath escapes, and we blaze out and we fold and fall spectrum embrace. We leave this
All right, guys, that was From Here We Fade. Again, slight bias because I have listened to this record a multitude of times, and most times that I've done these, I have not listened to it. So this is a very first for at least for this series thus far. But the reason why I think I love this track a lot, and just listening to it again for the umpteenth time, I think I love just the dynamics that you guys play with, just in terms of like, you know, the guitars, the bass, the drums, the vocals. I think there's just this really nice ability to kind of control the space given in the track, whether it be like Derril taking kind of the front part of it, or, you know, Mark and Greg with the guitars and Nigel with the bass, kind of, you know, allowing more sounds to kind of fill the empty space, or just, you know, the drumming. I just feel like everything kind of works together in this like intriguing way, at least for me, songwriting wise. And I've listened to a lot of music that just keeps it interesting, like even kind of in like the bridge where there's like a pretty decent dropout other than vocals. I think that just the way that it's kind of like, even like the little instrumental kind of like ethereal pieces just add a lot of depth to the track, even though there's not much going on other than the vocal parts. So I love that. And then just like, I think also too, this song shows off Derril's vocal range very well too, because he, you know, has like some of the lower register stuff, and then you get into the more like falsetto-y sort of like stuff like that, along with like some yelling and screaming that I am particularly drawn to. So
Thanks,
I don't know
man.
if I hit on any other points, but I feel like that's a pretty good, you know, I want to bias myself, but I feel like that's a pretty good synopsis of it.
Yeah, that song for me, like when we got it written, you know, and it was kind of in its final place where it's like, okay, let's start to add vocals.
Mm-hmm.
The instrumental alone felt like you could see a rising wave, and then it just like comes up, and then it crashes really hard and kind of just is gone. And so I tried to emulate that as well, like that feeling that the guys created with, you know, coming in what seems like it's not so much, then all of a sudden it's overtaking you.
Yeah.
You know, then there you are left out to, you know, I was gonna say out, but that's the opposite. Left soaking wet.
Yeah, that's what it does.
It leaves you soaking wet. Exactly.
That's the intention.
That's honestly, you guys should just put that on a t-shirt, the Ansible, and then on the back it just says "leaves you soaking wet." You know, I don't want to take credit for it, but just, you know, yeah. I'm curious in terms of, I think Derril and I talked about it when we hung out in person a couple months ago. Well, more than a couple months ago now, but I guess in terms of like the question I was going to ask was, how do you guys go about writing some of these songs was From Here We Fade, pretty much the way it was from demo stage till, to being on the EP, because that always intrigues me as being, an interviewer / reviewer. I'm always curious in terms of like how the song kind of morphs or changes over time, or if there's hardly any change. That always interests me. So I don't know who would be able to answer that one, but
Greg.
Yeah, that's a Greg question.
He can start it up at least.
The main riff in the beginning is a chord progression from a song in Hamilton.
would have never guessed that. That was
Yeah, I was writing it when it became free on Disney Plus, and I was playing along to the song, which I almost never do, play along with other music or anything like that. And then I was like, "Oh, this could be cool if I did something with it in our space,"
mm-hmm.
and then built it from there. But it changed a decent amount when after all the vocals were done and I was mixing stuff, and then you can always record new stuff or do things differently, but I was sort of stuck because Derril went back home, and was like 3.5, 4 hours away by plane. So I just kind of, that whole extra section at the end where the chorus part is doubled
Mm-hmm.
structurally came about when I was mixing. Sometimes I'll just mute everything except for the synth and ambient layers, and then use that as a reference point to level the background vocals. And that was how that happened. That whole part just got doubled, and then I started subtracting stuff till I thought it felt right. So most of what's left is Nigel's synth and Mark's ambience and stuff like that, and then the whole part kicks in at the end, which is just an octave down, shifted down version of the intro chords. So, but it was a lot of shifting. All the songs changed dramatically once I started mixing when all the elements were in, because then I was playing with textures and the kind of sonic scenery that is present. So it was like, I baked the cake and then I started adjusting the flavors within the cake.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good analogy. I didn't think about that. That's good. I guess, Greg, I have a follow-up too. Like, being obviously in the band and doing the mixing, do you find that you overanalyze some things because you're so close to the action? Like, I feel like if, like, sometimes I get hypercritical of some of the stuff that I do on the channel just because it's me and I have the reins, right? Do you ever find that, like, when you're mixing stuff, you're like, man, you get really, like, hyper focused on it, and then you're like, man, I'm, like, missing something here, and then you take a break and you're like, I gotta come back to this, and then you find
pretty much the entire time. Like, literally until I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago or something like that, I like put the EP on while I went for a walk and listened to it, and that was the first time where I was like, oh, this came out all right. Like, every day while I was working on it and every day after it came out was just like, all right, well, I need to get that better next time, and I need to do this better next time, and we can work on this type of thing better next time. Like, it was literally like, that's just how I exist. And then there'll come a point where I go, oh, like, enough distance is between me and the project where I can, like, actually hear it for what it is. But I'm lost in the sauce the whole time.
I'm going to make a terrible dad joke. I was going to say, you're existing to repeat, because...
I mean, that's literally... I started that over multiple times from scratch.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to retract that. That was a... Not good. Not good. Slowly fading into a dad. I feel like that was really
Well,
what it's going out.
Join the club, buddy. I'm drinking Miller Lite because it's left over from a party we had like 3 weeks ago, and drank any beer.
Listen, you
You know you love it.
you can't waste it, Derril. You know, I got you. In the chat, Daryl's Chernobyl the Secret says these guys fuck. So I don't know if that. I feel like he needs to elaborate a little bit more, but I mean, take it as you will. You know.
Enough said.
Enough said. That's also going to be one of your shirt designs. That's the Ansible. These guys fuck.
Those are the Austin homies. Greg does a lot of work with them too.
There we go. Shout outs. But and then I guess we'll get into the elephant in the room, Derril. Lyrically, where do you pull from in this song?
I mean, the whole EP was written during the pandemic. You know, we were doing pretty well off of Forever, the album before this, and trying to set up some good tours and stuff like that. And you know, we were working with Modern Empire, which you know, definitely don't have bad things to say about them. They were trying to get us onto some stuff, and then it was just like shut down. You know, fuck off, fuck everything. And it hit us all pretty hard. Like, it's hard to get to that point and then have it pulled back, and there's literally nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So the EP as a whole kind of focuses on those thoughts and those feelings, you know, being the extended play of an isolated mindset. Nigel thought of that, but just but as far as writing process, Greg and I got together. Greg wrote more lyrics than he ever has for this, and I love that he just expressed himself. Finally got him to sing on the EP, and it's awesome. But specifically for this song, it was about that feeling of, you know, this is taken away from me, kind of that fuck this is bullshit, you know, thought process that when something like that happens.
Yeah, I think we can all kind of relate to that. I feel like I definitely could realize that listening to this record was like, again, you know, obviously it corresponds with, you know, the pandemic and stuff. But in terms of emotions and stuff, I feel like I kind of felt the same way and still kind of do still feel the same way about, you know, how things are and like how your mindset gets when you're, you know, kind of living the same day over and over again. And, you know, it's an interesting, you know, it's an interesting way to go about it and stuff. And I appreciate kind of like the way that the lyrics work in terms of like, yeah, you could kind of get that idea from it, but, you know, it also could be, you know, perceived possibly in a different direction. And I think that, again, that's probably, along with just kind of the musical aspect of it, I think that's what really drew me to it for as long as it has been and probably will continue to be. I guess for you, Greg, you know, how was it your experience this time, you know, doing a lot of the, you know, some of the lyricism and doing some singing on this record? How did you feel like you handled it pretty well?
It's funny when you ask that question, like, what's the song about? I was like, I don't know. Well, you know, because most of it, you know, we did the vocals over at Daryl's house.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone came over there. We set up a portable rig over there. I was usually showing up with just like, okay, I have this like phrasing or I have this melody idea. And almost, I mean, I could be wrong, but didn't we just make up everything like on the spot over the course of like 2 weeks, basically? Like,
yeah, we both had ideas, you know, like different things we were thinking of, And so when we came together, we had like a starting point, and we ended up melding a lot of those ideas together and being like, oh wait, I like the words you're using, phrasing it this way, you know, and it helped us to kind of speed through the process faster than we ever have. Which is kind of funny that it's funny you're bringing that up because I didn't really put any thought to that until now. It's like we cruise through these songs, these 5 songs. They just came to us pretty well.
I mean, we had like 10 days to write and record vocals, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think maybe less. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
I had to
like,
move back to South Carolina, and my apartment was completely empty except for a pull-out couch and a desk, and so we tracked in there. I had already taken everything in a U-Haul.
Yeah, I don't know. 'Cause like when we were doing it, I had like vague ideas about stuff, but everything was much more just like like obviously words have value, but I'm not a person who hears lyrics,
Fair enough.
so I don't necessarily like you know, I don't know what most people are saying. It's very rare. Like I hear a lyric, I'm like, oh, I identify with the words. I'm usually identifying with the emotion, you know, and how it interacts with the other parts of the song. Not so much like, oh, I can't believe what they said right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So my push towards stuff is just more. That's the angle I come from. It's just another like melody or something to put on top of the existing ones that are already there, and then we like fish out words. Kind of. Sometimes I have words, but
it's more. I got you. It's more of like a dynamic thing rather than like, you know, if I'm trying to think of a band that has like some like Silent Planet, where, you know, he goes into a whole bunch of, you know, like if you go and listen to any of their songs and you go into like the lyrical portion in the the description, he has like citations,
liner notes,
notes, all this
there's
stuff,
footnotes.
Yeah, Garrett's insane. I always read the lyrics when I'm listening. I just sit there reading through.
And I'm just like, this dude's like insane. That, I mean, I love him, don't get me wrong, but like I'm like, holy shit, like you're taking this amount of time to like really lyrically hone in on something. And I mean, I gotta give him credit for it because I feel like it always comes out really well. So, you know, no diss to him, but I'm kind of in the same boat as Greg, and I just am more of like, if I know something will impact me like sound wise, and then I hear the lyrics along with it, it's just kind of like that extra thing that like kind of pushes you over the edge of like, man, this could separate a good song from a great song if it just has the right sort of like pull towards it, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone's different, but
of course
for words to actually break through, it takes a lot.
It does. Well, you guys broke through me, so congrats on that. As we have spent a lot of time on track number 1, we are going to make our way over to track number 2, which is Let's Drop. Again, as we mentioned earlier, this was the first single that released, and that's where they abducted Mark. Everything's okay with Mark. As you can tell, he's in the video chat here, but we don't know. By the end of this, I might have to get Mark's personal information and find out if he's okay.
They have my phones.
Okay, I got Mark on speed. I got Mark on speed dial just in case. But anyway, guys, this song is called "Let's Drop," and no pun intended. Let's listen to this right now in 3, 2, 1.
out, overwhelmed, can't seem to catch my breath anymore. Run down, fucking hollowed out, just a ghost falling down through the floor. I am in a state of perpetual gloom, locked in with the haze I create in my room. Fall back into the thoughts that will destroy me, and I slip back into the ways I know are not good for me. So let's grab a paintbrush, change this gloomy setting, hit up all of my friends and get lost and leave it all behind. Let's drop tonight, I'm feeling good. Let's drop tonight, get lost with you. Let's drop tonight, I'm feeling good. Let's drop tonight, get lost with you. Whoa. I'm stepping out, grab the keys, stop the van, take a ride with me. Doesn't matter where, I just wanna leave. The windows down for a while, and let the night wash over me. Let it all become alive, waiting for this feeling my whole life. I've been Let's drop tonight, I'm feeling good. Let's drop tonight, get lost with you. Let's drop tonight, I'm feeling good. Let's drop tonight. Grab a paintbrush, change this gloomy setting, hit up all of our friends, then get lost. Wherever I go with you, whatever we do, it's true. All that I am that's good is from you. We could be far away from home, and I won't miss it half as bad with you by my side. Let's drop tonight, put the world on pause while we run through the city. Let's drop tonight, finally feel alright as we drift outside of our lives.
All right, guys, that was Let's Drop, track number 2. I, again, much like the first track, enjoyed this a ton. I feel like after listening from Here We Fade and hearing Derril's vocals in Let's Drop, I thought, man, he really couldn't hit those, like, I was like, he couldn't go farther in their falsetto range, right? And then, man, you hit me with them spicy notes, you know? And I was like, damn, all right. I was like, you proved me wrong on that one, but I thought
Yeah.
that was really sick.
That I mean, it was a bold choice. We've never really used falsetto like that before, but we did it. And after we recorded it, it was like, okay, I don't want to change it. Okay, we're not going to change it. So we just, went for it. It felt well received. I don't know. I was just listening to a lot of crazy stuff in that time frame because I literally packed our whole apartment and into a U-Haul and then drove for 3 days across the country to South Carolina. And those leading up to that, it was just a lot of time to listen to music. So I was just on a binge doing all kind of stuff. I think we lost Greg.
We did lose Greg. in terms of artists, Derril, who were you in fact listening to at the time, if you can remember?
I mean, shoot, that was like right after Loathe released. I Let It In.
Wow,
Yeah,
how funny.
I was always Sleep Token. I'm not even ashamed to admit that I am a super fan of that band.
Same.
I was listening to a lot of Circus Survive.
Ooh, okay.
You know, for the more kind of lighthearted stuff, I was going with like some Bayside. I listened to their acoustic album. My wife is in theater, so there was always some, theater ballads in the mix from her, when she had the aux cord and stuff too. And, sitting there listening to like the soaring high notes that you get in that, I definitely took some influence from.
Yeah, I think at least from my perspective, I think it panned out. I really like. I feel like with some of the other stuff, like even in Forever, I really enjoyed, but I feel like thus far, listening to Let's Drop and like kind of listening to all the singles, obviously prior to the EP releasing, I was just like, I'm curious in terms of how far they were gonna take it, as how you guys were gonna take it as a band in terms of like musical like direction, because I did really like Forever a lot, but I feel like this one, there was just something about it where even up to Let's Drop, and getting 2 tracks into it, I just felt like, man, I don't know what they're doing, but for whatever reason, it just feels like everything that they did on Forever, they just amplified that much more. And I, like I said, thus far I've really enjoyed it. It's been in my repeats for a hot second, so I can't front and say that you guys are definitely in that spot for me, at least in terms of like the right amount of heavy, the right amount of melodic nature to it, and just kind of finding that really great middle ground. And then obviously with the announcement of Mark being in the band, how is that, Mark? I don't know how long you guys have been in talks to have you in the band or not, because I'm trying to think of when I talked to Derril the last time, because I don't think Mark was in the band at the time we talked the last time. Derril, is that correct to say?
The last time we formally talked,
talked.
Mark was not in the band.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Mark, how was that announcement? I'm sure you had been sitting on it for a little bit, I'd imagine.
It was a while, like, so I was announced like shortly before the EP, but I guess I was officially like a part of the band, like essentially like maybe a week or 2 before Derril started the band. So I was just like, oh, okay. Like, so I heard some of the demos previously, and I was just jamming, trying to, just mess with them. And yeah, I was like, 100%, I'm in. Let's go. And I, even if I wasn't recording a note, like, just try to be as much a part of the sessions as possible with Derril, and just kind of just chill with the guys. But it was a little daunting, like, because it was just like, okay, cool. So we're gonna be tracking like now. It's just like, oh, all right, let's go.
Yeah. Well, and even before we like officially asked you in, you were in the conversation about a lot of it. Which I remember when it was probably like a year before, maybe longer, I don't know, but probably about a year before, where you had came to me. No, I couldn't.
Oh yeah, that was like, it was literally like the week before the lockdown happened, because y'all played y'all's last show in San Antonio, and yeah, like I try to go out to as many Ansible shows as possible. And I was just rapping with Derril at the merch table, and I was just like, I expressed my intent to the universe. I was like, look, man, like, y'all haven't had, the second guitar in a minute, and I don't know if y'all want that or y'all don't want it, but if it's open, like, I'm 1,000%, let's go. And yeah, I mean, it took a little while. Honestly, it was probably like semi-harassment on my end too, but
You know what though?
is that fair to say?
That's what it was gonna take.
Just a little bit of harassment.
it was either me getting in or I'd get cease and desist. Or at least,
Honestly, it's what won me over. So
Listen, honestly, that's why they I mean, now it all makes sense. That's why they kidnapped Mark. You know, Mark had some trade secrets that the Ansible, disclosed to him, and they're like, "Listen, you're either joining the band, or we're gonna kidnap you." And then so they did both. So, kill two birds with one stone, kind of thing. So
I was shocked.
Oh my god, but that's great.
Fun enough with that music video, dude. That Greg throwing me in the van, that was 1,000% real. Like, unscripted. Like,
Yeah, he had no
just
idea.
pulled up and got me.
Oh my god, that's great. What were you gonna say, Derril?
Yeah, he had no idea, and Greg. I don't think Greg really knew either. He just like I was driving in the music video, and we're doing the scene where we're like pulling up next to him, and he's like, "I'm just gonna jump out," and I was like, "Okay," and so. He's like, "Stop!" And I stop. He flings the door open, leaps out at him, and Mark is like, "Whoa, whoa!" And he just chucks him in. It was so great,
dude.
God,
It was like
awesome.
it was like that movie Old School, bro. Like straight up, that was the scene.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
I think you can still see like the tire jack on the floor, right? Or like it fall or something in the shot.
yeah, it fell out of the van. Yeah,
That's great. Oh my god.
I'm so glad with how that video turned out. Like Nigel shot
great.
the whole thing. If you haven't watched it yet, it's YouTube.
Links in the description.
Links in the description.
In the comment.
I don't know. Just go to YouTube and search the Ansible. But like Nigel shot the whole thing. It was fun the whole time. Like it kind of has like that like late '90s throwback where like bands would just like go around with a camera and do weird shit. And, and then we got Mark. He worked for this place that had that warehouse that we shot the performance scenes in. So we took a trip down to San Antonio for the day, and we actually shot 2 videos in the same day, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a long day.
It was a long day. Because when we shot the videos, I already lived here in South Carolina, so I flew back for like 5 days, and we just hammered out a bunch of stuff as fast as we could.
That's what you gotta do. It's the dedication,
Yeah, it's almost time to do that again.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's awesome. Well, I really, honestly, I love the Let's Drop music video. That was just so great. Also the fact that Derril was just like hanging out of the van with like his hair like literally like flowing in the wind like Jesus or something. That was so badass.
Those shots, dude.
I was like, holy fuck. I was like, if I had long hair like that, there'd be bugs in it or some shit. So I don't know how
Nigel got me to do a lot of dumb shit in this video.
It was great. Honestly,
It was so much fun.
So
like we shot that scene several times, and like we go back and watch them all, and it felt like Nigel went, "That's the cheesiest one. That's the one that's going in the video."
Yep.
Honestly, it's great. Salutes to Nigel. I could only imagine, because I think you guys are driving like in kind of like an area. I would just love to be like someone's neighbor and just see like Derril's like hanging out of the fucking van, like hair fully out. Like, oh my god, I'd be crying. That'd be great.
There are some confused old people for sure.
Oh, I can be assured of that. I almost when I saw those clips, I was like, I can almost be guaranteed there were some old people that did not get what was going on that day. And then they told all their other old friends about it,
This is another funny aspect of it. Like, so we're just cruising in the van doing all these shots. So we're like in a shady band van, just circling this one block.
Got like a bunch of Bondo work on the sides of it and stuff. It's a good van. Okay.
She's strong.
It's a great van.
She's strong. She's oh my god.
She's a little rough.
She's a little rough, but she gets the job done. My God, that's great. Those were aspects of the music video that were undersold to me, but now looking back and remembering those things, and I'm gonna cherish those music video memories more fondly now. In terms of lyrics, again, Derril, what are we kind of in the same train as the last one?
Let's drop. Actually, it's funny because Greg was saying he'll be back. Maybe, I don't know. He got called.
Summoned.
Yeah, he got summoned. So he had the idea for Let's Drop. And it was this kind of like taking on the personality of the feelings we were having. We all actually got to be there together for the first time in several months, and just hanging out and creating, which is like our favorite thing to do. Mark was with us. I mean, you came every day, didn't you?
I came like at least 2-3 days out of the week for the time that we had.
Yeah, and Nigel, you were there a couple of days. Darian was there a couple of days, but Greg and I going to town and just being able to have everybody there that we could ping pong all the ideas off of. That was just such a great feeling. And how it just felt freeing. Like for a minute, we didn't have to COVID and everything being locked down. We didn't have to worry about that. And in the writing process, I remember the grab the keys part was kind of a joke. Like I think I made a reference to like early 90s hip hop and I was like, "You start the van, take a ride with me," and Greg's like, "Sing it, do it." and I literally, I think on that section, the doesn't matter where, I just want to leave the windows down for a while. That was off the rip. Like I had "Doesn't Matter" written down, and the rest of it flowed out. And I think the take on the album is the take. Like that one just like, it was like a puzzle piece that fit, and that we just got the whole thing together. And like I said, we were adventurous with a lot of the vocal stuff this time around, because we were just like, just do whatever you want. Like let's just see how it goes. And then I got Greg to sing the chorus, which is like a huge moment for me in the band, because I always knew he had it in him. He just, everybody's a little critical of themselves. And,
sure, yeah.
But, I kind of used his "just do whatever you want" mentality against him, where I was like, well, what I want is for you to sing that chorus, and so he did. This one was really fun to make. All around, like, just the song in general, when he came up with some of the ideas and like the guitar tones. I love that guitar tone in the chorus, like, and it comes in with that like ring well. It's the most fun song I think that we've ever written.
I would agree. I would agree with that. I also feel like it's pulling from, at least from my perspective, like influences of you guys collectively, which would be like Deftones and like Loathe, that sort of vibe, at least that I got listening to it. It felt very much in that sort of wheelhouse. And
Deftones.
And then Loathe, ironically enough. This one was just a really fun track, and I think just meshed with how much enjoyment you guys were having in the music video. I think really just sold me initially on this track, and then just listening to it, 1 through 5, the whole song, the whole album. I think it just really sets a really good tone for like the rest of the EP too, and I just like that. I guess From Here We Fade and Let's Drop kind of have this kind of mirrored effect almost, in a sense. Like I feel like they have very complementary sort of sounds to each other. Like when just the transition between the two songs is just really well done, and I think that sonically, I those are probably, along with, track number 5, which I mentioned earlier, are some of my favorites. But I just think
Yeah,
it's just really lyrically and like musically, I think it just fits super well with what you guys are trying to shoot for, at least.
Yeah, I think the track listing actually kind of goes in an order of how it played out. Like,
Yeah.
the feelings we were having, we're all, we're all kind of addicted to the emotionality of the type of music that we write. So, it's a primary thing. And so, with From Here We Fade, it was where we all just kind of, like emotionally dumped everything out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get that feeling of, okay, now we're all here hanging out, and then we move into Unit 1 where we all kind of have a more serious discussion about our feelings of it all.
Yeah, definitely. Well, perfect transition, Derril.
It's a good segue, right?
Good segue. Listen, this man should start a podcast. Excuse me. But anyway, we're gonna move into track number 3, which is Unit 1. If you haven't listened to it, we're gonna be listening to it in 3, 2, 1.
Lately the world has got me going crazy. I'm sorry if I lose my head. Locked away, no way for me to break free. Live in a prison where I pay the rent. The struggle bus is on its way to take me, but the cost is more than I can pay. Stripped of what's left of my so-called sanity. Call me crazy, but we're all insane. We fall into disarray. I know it will be okay. When life's dragging you down, you just get back up again. Find love and let it in. I try to find the closeness I've been craving. A human touch and maybe I'll be fine. But I never follow through and now I'm lonely. There's something wrong with my mind. We fall into disarray. I know it will be okay. When life's dragging you down, you just get back up again. Find love and let it in. Let's go. Don't know how to live when it's you that I want. It's the ghosts of our past always push us apart. I'm so scared to get in and let love find a home. If I touch, it's the nights I drop fly for my time. Well, there's a place where you can see the loneliness between the trees. So close, you're planted firm. The roots betray the touch they yearn.
All right, guys, that was Unit 1 Um, I gotta give a shout out to Darian. He's not on here, but the drumming on this track is phenomenal. Like I think his drumming is really great throughout this entire like EP record, but I felt like more specifically in this track there's just some like really cool fills. There's some really like I think he knows how to like just he just knows how to drum really well in certain areas where it's just like okay, there's like some really cool guitar chords going on, there's like some really nice like lead work going on, but he just does it in a really like tasteful way that I'm like, man, underrated. I would say he's the most underrated, at least in this track specifically. But I think thus far it's cool to see you guys at least. I feel like thus far most of the songs have been more like clean vocals, more like again kind of register expanding, and not to kind of give a hint to the next track, but I feel like in terms of like vocals, I think Derril just has gone above what I thought he was what you were capable of doing in like forever in some ways. Like I feel like you're definitely a stronger vocalist, and I think a lot of these songs utilize your vocals in just a more unique and interesting way that I think captivated me a lot more in terms of just like listening to this record for an ungodly amount of time, and I was able to kind of like really like listen to it more so, and I felt like with just your vocals this one was really cool because like I've always appreciated vocalists doing that sort of like singing kind of yelling like style, I guess similarly to kind of like what Sam Carter does. But I like that it was mostly kind of in that like again mid-range to kind of like lower register. I feel like a lot of vocalists within our scene kind of tend to go for the like higher register stuff because that seems more impressive, but I feel like at least for me, I always love when a vocalist can kind of just like again make their way through a song in such an effortless way. I think that's more impressive to me than just like if you could hit a high note like every like what I mean, like that's impressive, but I feel like a lot of the songs off this EP/record just impressed me, just the way that you kind of incorporate your runs into certain songs. And I think just having really strong instrumental backups as well, like again Mark and Greg and Nigel, I think they really hold their own. And I think they again I feel like there's certain times where things kind of come out more, but I like how it's just kind of all encompassing. So I guess this is my little synopsis on that.
Yeah, this one, I think I'm on board with Greg. Like, this might actually be my favorite song. A lot of it felt clever. Like I'm not trying to like toot my own horn or anything. I just liked the way everything, especially that open verse, like it just the way it rolled off my tongue just felt really cool. Like I just liked almost the feeling of it more than I was even worried about what I was singing, like lyrically. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but it was. But when you got to, what you were talking about, like the Sam Carter thing, that like Fry singing,
Yeah.
I was moving away from my best friends and the life I had for 8 years, and I was scared and mad, but also you just kind of had to get those feelings out because I was moving here, able to be closer to my family and have a wonderful home with my wife who is fucking awesome. And I just So I was in this battle, and so it really came out in those parts, And Greg's singing on all this, like, it's just so fun to, like, we have like similar timbre, so it's so fun to
Yeah.
sing because I feel like we complement each other. Um, and then as far as the lyrics went, like I remember the line, "Call me crazy, we're all insane."
Yeah.
Call me crazy, but we're all insane, and like it was that, like, everybody's going insane, being stuck in their homes
Yeah.
all this time, going
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to that, and like that time frame.
I did notice that, and like some of it's crazy, like, and that's why I love having bands on to talk about these things, because like I feel like I think about these things in my head, like while I'm driving and listening to this, and I'm like, man, don't you? And then I'm like, oh wait, no one's in my car. I'm just talking to myself like a maniac. Um, but then I'm like, man, it's cool to like talk about these songs and stuff, because at least from my perspective, I'm a real nerd about music. So like when I have a band on and they're talking to me about these lyrics or like, certain musical aspects of the song, I'm like super into it, because it's shit that I would have probably never known, beyond like, again, just having you guys on and talking about it. Um and it's cool. Like I'm excited to hopefully, see this stuff live and have that kind of emotion, you know, be shown in some of these songs, because I feel like, especially with this one specifically, I feel like this one would be just kind of a great way to, show your guys' sound off live, because it's just got this really great like dynamic in terms of like the instrumentals, but I think also lyrically there's like a really strong dynamic to it as well. And so I feel like it would just be one of those songs, when we're able to play shows again, like, I would be really excited to see this one, because I feel like it would hold it down. But I guess Nigel or Mark, what do you feel like is your take on this track particularly?
This one for me was probably the one that I felt the most whenever it came to the lyrical point.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of to piggyback off of what you were mentioning, this was kind of the turning point because, kind of like Greg mentioned, I don't normally listen to lyrics or much of what singing is beyond its like melodical purpose in a
Sure.
song. If I'm really, really into it a lot, I'll eventually just look up the lyrics out of sheer curiosity.
Yeah.
But that normally doesn't happen. But with this album, especially whenever both him and Greg were approaching the songs with either of them being a spot for one of the choruses or for the verse, and then kind of trying all sorts of different methods rather than going for like a more modern approach that we did with Forever, because Forever is definitely kind of one of our more technical albums that we
Yeah.
just kind of pushed the gate on that as much as we could. This one just had a lot more feel, and made me have a lot more interest in vocals overall. And I feel like that is probably one of the biggest catalysts towards the change in the way that we write now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I'm just happy to see that because I knew that it was there, and I'm just glad that it's like a mainstay in the type of writing that we're going for.
Yeah, certainly. I'm excited too, because I feel like, again, as I keep mentioning, I feel like this is the culmination of what, listening to the Ansible for a couple years now. Like, I feel like this is something that I always kind of hope that you guys would kind of go in terms of direction wise. And, I'm glad that you're really, hitting that stride point and continuing to grow and evolve as a band, because I think sonically it's just something that, in terms of dynamics and just having Greg sing and Derril do his stuff, like, I think it's just really interesting. And then on top of just having really great instrumentals too, I think it really brings a new take to what you guys are doing. What's your thoughts on it, Mark?
I probably have the most semi-opposite. So like me being so new, I was still. I mean, so what? Me viewing the tracks as like a fan mode or new dude mode.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this is obviously the most different song.
Yeah.
It's fun, it's wafty, and it's just spacey kind of like
yeah, vibey.
and it's really fun. So I was just like, okay, like me just jamming the listing, like I like it. I like the other songs potentially more just because that's my personal like preference, especially with like the Ansible as a listener. But then the only show I've had, or we play with Rivals, and this was actually the funnest song.
Oh wow, very cool.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it was very fun.
Because it's so big. Like it sounds really big, especially like actually not just in your ears. You can feel it on the stage.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of moments where I can turn and I can see like Nigel just like vibing, or Greg and Derril just like, I'm just getting all into it, and it's like, you know what, like this like I'm very happy this song is in the set because it's super fun to play, and I just thought that was like my weird take on it, I guess.
No. I think it's cool. Like I imagine it being in a band, it's tough because like you're like, man, all these like artists that have released stuff over the pandemic and haven't been able to like do as much playing time in terms of their music, like that must be really difficult. And obviously to have the chance to play some of the new stuff in a show, I think that's really cool. And obviously I hope you guys get to play it much more, but I feel like just being able to kind of like, at least for me, as being a fan of music, like I would love to be able to like just hear this shit live because it's something that I listen to, on a more frequent basis. So, I definitely like your take on it, Mark. I think it's, I'm excited to listen to it, and see it live. I guess this is a question more specifically I aimed at you, like being a fan of the band, and then obviously now being in the band, like has your like, because you knew them when they put Forever out, like has your mindset changed?
I was going hard on the Draw Closer album.
Oh, nice.
That's what got me popping. And then I heard like the unreleased version of Forever, because me and Greg would shoot stuff back and forth, and I was like, bro, like this song, the album is super fire, like let's go. And then it released and it was doing super well. And then it was just funny because like we were close, we've been on tour together and stuff. And like every time I would see Derril, like we had a show together, I'd be like, oh yeah, check out this, and be like, bro, like we just dropped this album, we already have another album cooking, check out this song. And I'm just like, what are y'all doing? Like this is outrageous. Like
do you guys sleep? Like do you eat? Like what's going on here?
No, and I was so envious because like in my other band, I do a lot of the music side of it, and it was just very like, these are my people. Like even though you have this body work, you're just like, oh yeah, this is out. Man, that's old. Like we got all like, bro, don't even worry about it.
Tracks we have here, Mark. You're like,
dude, like it's like a
drop bob list of like demo like 1 through like 50. You're like, oh shit, like oh my god,
dude, our drop boxes are packed.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Between like I remember when we showed Mark this song that we just never released, but it was like fully produced. Just like we like threw a single together, and then we were like, nah. And we showed it to him, and he was like, dude, when are we releasing this? This is fucking cool. And we're like, no, we kind of shelved that. It needs some work still, like we do that. Like honestly, Greg is a machine. Like he's the one. It's like you know he never sleeps because he constantly like. He'll just like be up in the chat at 4 a.m. sometimes, like, yo, I'm cooking. And it's like, and then he sends you a video of this, like, just like this collection of riffs that he like just had pop into his head. And you're like, what? And Mark is an OG. Like we toured together years ago, like way early in the band. But Mark offers the same thing, which is why he's in the band. I mean, he comes in, listens to him, and he's like, "What do you think of this?" And like, just puts in work. Nigel puts in work. Nigel writes, obviously bass, but he writes a majority of the synth stuff.
Yeah.
We have a shitload of, say that eloquently, like that, we love textures. We love having all of these ambient elements. Like, and the way Greg mixes, it's like you'll feel something like tickle you in the back of your neck with headphones on. It's crazy. Like, I'm just surrounded by like some of the most talented people ever, but they needed an extrovert in the band, so here.
It's like the biggest blessing having like demos come in the caliber of like Greg level stuff, because you're just like, when are we dropping this? I wrote this last night. Like, let's go. But it's insane how much stuff changes when you add Nigel to it, because you're just like, bruh, like what is the song now? Like, and it's so good. And yeah, like
Nigel just pulls up like an organ. He's like, yeah, I think we should put some like some cool
dude,
organ
it's crazy.
Here.
It's insane.
Oh my god. I honestly, it's just cool that you guys, I mean, I feel like with most bands, like when you have time, like you're writing shit, and I feel like just with, at least for me, like I understand that just because like when I'm not like working, I'm doing this shit, which is, I love it, and it's cool to see people have that sort of like drive and energy to be like, like I love doing this shit, even if like, everybody like stopped doing it, I'd still want to like continue doing it. So that's awesome. Obviously, Mark, I know you're OG now, but it's cool to see your like takes on it too, just because like I feel like, at least for me, like you're the new, well, I mean, technically Derril's the one I've known the longest, but like it's cool to see just like all of you guys collectively just being like a force, and that's just like so neat. As somebody who does a lot of like interviews and stuff, I feel like you guys have like a shit ton of drive, and I'm waiting for like EP number 7 right now, so
it's coming.
There we go.
There's like 3 albums in the Dropbox right now.
Jesus Christ. That's nuts.
Almost. There's almost that many.
Almost, yeah, probably. Also, I don't know if your camera cut out, Derril, or not, but I cannot see you. So, just
now
I cannot see you. You are the Discord logo right now. But
how about now?
Dude, you ruined all euphoria, dude.
Yeah.
It was all orange.
I didn't see any of that. All I see is the blue logo, but
oh no.
We're going to move it on to the next track, which is track number 4, called Time Slide. I briefly alluded to it earlier as being, a certain subsection of, heavy. So, it's a little heavy. So, guys, we're going to get into Time Slide. Hopefully you enjoy. We're going to count it in 3, 2, 1.
Remain calm. Vortex by the realization that this will be an endless dive of nothing. Graceless eternity. Hold fast, remain calm. Push through, carry on. Hold fast, remain calm. Push through, carry on. Time fly by you. Right when the loss. Back to the shame. Rise on the remain calm, carry on, hold fast, push through, remain calm, carry on. Times life again, rewind the loss, back to escape, raise on the low.
All right, guys, that was Time Slide. I know Derril is currently trying to get his webcam to work again, but
It's
to
not-
no avail.
Nobody can see me.
I cannot.
I can see you.
I can't see him for
Yeah.
whatever reason. So maybe
It
it's
seems-
me. Maybe it's
You're
me.
blind.
I am
You might
blind.
yeah.
Discord.
I
Good old
can't
dear
see
Kurt.
you. I can't
Yeah,
see you,
Discord,
Derril.
Great.
Time
Well,
slide. We're gonna get
Hopefully
into.
everybody else can see me.
They cannot.
Yeah.
If I cannot see you, then the viewers cannot see you.
Oh no.
I know.
I
They're just-
reloaded
Bro.
and I got off and back on the call.
I don't. Maybe I.
Dude.
Well, if I get off, then it'll all. Then we'll all
yeah,
go away.
no, let's not do that.
We're like live right now, bro.
Bro, we're like live, man. I think this track is, honestly, every time that I listen to this album, I can't pick a favorite. I know I already picked 3 favorites. I'm literally just gonna say the entire thing's my favorite. I think that's what I've really come to the realization of, is that I enjoy this EP way too much, which is a good thing, and you should too. Go check it out. But I, much like I feel like some of the other songs on here have this great dynamic. I feel like this one, like if we were at the if the bar of dynamics was here, I feel like we raised it like, beyond my webcam, like in terms of like heaviness, this is probably the heaviest song on this record thus far. And I think it is the heaviest song, I would argue. And I just think dynamically it's just really well put together. There's just some really great screaming going on. I just think some of like the parts where like there is just like some insane like dropout guitar parts that I'm like, holy shit. I'm pretty sure I had to change my pants the first time I listened to this song, and I don't think I fully recovered after that.
Nice.
So this one was just too. This one, when I like, because I had listened to all of them, I think, except for Time Slide and In the Shade, like beyond like the first, beyond releasing the record. And when I first listened to this, I was just like, I should just insert a meme where like the gif where the kid gets like blown back. That was me. I was just so like dynamically, this song is just too nuts for me, and I love the transition of like heavy and like melody in it. I just think some of the runs are just really well done, lyrically and both like melodically too. I would say this is definitely one of the strongest tracks on the record in terms of just like sheer heaviness, but also just like musicality. I honestly, I think this might, I don't know. I want to stop saying which one's my favorite, because I really can't pick, but I enjoyed this one a ton, so I'm going to stop talking, and then Derril's going to start talking about the lyrics. So what's taking place here, Derril?
First of all, can you hear me?
I can hear
Yes.
you. Yes.
Okay. All
I
right.
can hear you. You're
I'm
just,
messing
like,
with my
super
camera. Yeah.
You do
no,
look like a JPEG right now.
stuck.
Yeah, I
dude,
know.
For sure.
Okay, maybe that was
I'm
it
trying
then.
to fix that. But as far as this one goes, this one was actually kind of a fun one. We like to mess around with like stories that we hear and stuff. And Greg is a huge comic book nerd.
Ooh.
And so he was digging into the Cable series, and going on about. I'm just gonna turn that off. He was telling me the story about basically like Cable's origin story about his family and how to travel time, and and the whole Time Slide by 2 thing comes from that specifically. But like, there's just little Easter eggs, and like, we just had a lot of fun writing this, and it's definitely the heavy song. Like I went heavier on the vocals than I normally do, even on the scream stuff. Like, but I was feeling it, man. Like, that pitch shift, dude. Pitch shift is fucking everything, man. Like, the riff
slaps.
itself. Yeah, that breakdown is heavy as fuck already. But then you hit that pedal, and it's just like your whole body starts to vibrate.
Oh, 100%.
I kind of feel like that's what made some of that a little more aggressive than I typically have done in the past. Like,
yeah,
it was just
I thought
like
the Kool-Aid
full
man
again.
was gonna like come blasting through this wall behind me.
Yeah,
I was like, holy
it
shit!
feels like that.
My pants were gone. They flew off my body, like literally, just like done. I should have texted you when that happened. I would have been like, Derril, my pants. What happened to them? They're gone. I can't find them.
You owe me more pants.
This song, I will agree with Derril. The pitch shift is primo stuff here on this song. Like, I think dynamically it would have hit just as hard, but just because the pitch shift was in there, it just, like, for whatever reason, just like blew my mind. Like, I was just like, hot damn, this is great. But I do like the reference to Time Slide about being, obviously Cable as being also a nerd as well. I kind of picked up on that, but I wasn't 100% sure, so I didn't want to do that. But Greg, shout-outs to you, because I know he was on earlier and is no longer here. But I appreciate that reference. That's great. I think I'm going to have more of an affinity towards this track now that I know it's a song relating to Cable. But
but his story was relatable for us. Was really what it came down to. And like, the song, the instrumentation in the song itself is so driving and heavy.
It is
that we that story kind of made sense. It really fit in. When we were talking about what we wanted this song to be about. The more he told me the story, it was just like, yeah, man, like, I get that. There's even little Easter eggs, like, and listen to the chorus, the keep hope alive. Hope was his daughter, and so he was, that was, I even capitalized the H in the lyrics for people who might find it, but nobody ever said anything.
Oh, sorry, bud. I should have.
That's all right.
I should have said something.
It's so savage. Sorry, man.
It's pretty obscure. That's just how my mind works, though. I was like, ooh, I wonder if anybody would notice this, and it's just like, no, whatever.
No.
Derril is being real sad. Yeah, meanwhile, Daryl's in the corner crying. Man. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a big cheese ball, man. Like.
Yeah. We've had many of conversations about us being cheese balls, so respect.
Hey, baby, cheese ball is where we should go with that, by the way.
Maybe that'll be a conversation for another time, or maybe on here. But what I guess we'll get Mark and Nigel's take on this song. What's your thoughts on it, guys?
Time Slide for sure, super chaotic, and just wildly heavy. Like, even in the demo versions, like when you hear the pitch shift, you're just like, oh my god, like,
yeah, it's a gut punch.
Where are we now? But it's, I think it just says it all with the first note. It's just like, hey, what's up? I'm the heavy song on the album.
Like 1 second in, you're like, done. You already knew.
And the drums are so locked in too, so it's really just an assault like the whole time. The choruses, you get a little bit of a breath, but it's like really epic. So you're just like, okay, yeah, all right. And then you get immediately sucked in, and then at the end of it, you're just like, where are we gonna go from?
Pretty much, yeah. felt the same way. Nigel, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, for me, I think this song was honestly I associated a while because it was the hardest one to write anything to because again it's very chaotic. This is my dog. But
Andy.
yeah, he just wants attention right now. He smells something. I don't know. Probably wants graham crackers. But it was just one of those songs where I was trying to figure out that could go to it, and I was going back on whether I should add anything because of just how much energy ran through it. But I ended up finding some things just to add in towards kind of the textural layers and just a couple synths that don't really stand very heavily into the foreground. And beyond that, it is definitely the more heavy song. It was very fun to play live, but
Yeah. I agree. I know Unit 1 was said by Mark, but I think Time Slide was my favorite one to play.
Oh. Honestly, if you guys do the shift live, then oof. I think.
Oh, it happens.
Oh,
Yeah, it definitely happens.
It happens.
The
I would
walls
just
started
I
crumbling
was gonna
around
say,
us.
I would love to get people's reaction to just hearing that just drop out. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody's clothes are just eviscerated when that happened. You know?
Yeah, just brown notes to the PA.
Yeah, God.
Well, you know, like Greg does a lot of work with Filth, which is
Yeah.
like a disturbingly heavy band from North Carolina. I haven't heard of them. Like, they're cool dudes, great
Shouts to 'em.
fucking heavy music, but you know, and I kind of think that him working with them and writing with them a little bit, like, I think that bled over a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Certainly.
this song specifically, you know, like, because I mean, it's definitely the lowest we've ever played anything. It's all the guitar tones are just massive, and yeah. So I did my best to put my angry face on and fuck shit up.
Honestly, this every time I think
Well
about this
said.
song, anytime I think about this song, I think about, and this is going to be a very nerdy way to put it, but I think about that giant, like, Thwomp character from fucking Super Mario 64 at the top of the castle where he just slams down. That was, like, what I imagined would happen to people if they like, if I was Mario and this dude came down. This is like Time Slide. Like, I'm just getting crushed by the
Womp womp, right?
Yeah, I literally am just getting just smashed to death, you know?
Yeah,
But,
he's like
yeah.
the third star you get in Mario too.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why I know that.
It's
Hey,
impressive, Derril.
baby.
But yeah, I was like going through the tracks and I was just like, man, I know I'm gonna forget a good one, and this was one of them. So I'm glad we listened to it because I feel like this one may have moved up my ranks a little bit. But we're gonna move into the last track, guys, which is In the Shade. I know we were kind of alluding to it throughout the entire stream, but we were finally here at the end. But this one is super good, and we're gonna get into it in 3, 2, 1.
Second guess every word that you put to paper. vibe in the shade. And we're chilling. Moonbeams rays from outside my eyes. Just hit record and let's the swelling shade of blue. Oh, I can feel it. My dreams are coming true.
All right, guys, we're gonna BRB real quick, but you'll see us in a moment. All right, let's see. Can I just okay? Let's see if that worked. Oh, nice. We're all back. There we go.
Sweet.
There we go. All I had to do was one thing. Anyway, guys, that was track number 5, which is In the Shade. I, much like all of the other songs I've said, I've enjoyed this one a ton. I think this one kind of, at least, listening through with all of you guys, I felt like this one has the most of, like, the entire EP. Like, definitely takes a lot of great melodic elements, a lot of great heavy elements. There isn't any screaming, but that's totally cool. I'm down with that. I think it's a really great closing track. If you were to listen to the whole thing front to back, much like myself many times, I feel like you're going to find a lot of affinity towards the first and fifth track, but there's a lot of definitely sounds throughout the entire EP on this song. I love like the synthy, like etherealness on this. Shouts to Nigel. I just think he really killed it on this one. I think like with a lot of the songs that we've listened to tonight, I felt like this one had a lot more of that energy. I hope that kind of makes its way throughout more Ansible's tracks going further. But I thought this one, excuse me, I thought this one was super sick. I guess Derril, will roll into you. What's your thoughts on the whole lyric aspect of this song?
This one definitely kind of goes back into some of the feelings that we've always been pretty critical of our own music. We want it to be
Sure.
the best that it can possibly be. So going the opening lyrics are pretty literal. Second guess every word. Every note feels wrong. And you kind of get in that slump of are we, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah.
Are we doing anything wrong? Why are we stuck? And then having all of a sudden having it come out where you break that wall, and it essentially kind of like the concept of word vomit, like everything just comes out, and what that feeling is like and what it does to us, which goes into the can you feel it? Yes, I can. Swelling shade of blue, take me away. The little call and response there in the chorus, it's such an elation to just vibe like that, like to get into that space where you just feel so good and comfortable, but not too comfortable. You know, like you're really like feeling really creative, I guess, is probably in a word.
Get in the groove.
Right.
Yeah. I got you, Derril. I knew what you meant.
Yeah, thanks.
I guess, Nigel, since I complimented you so well on this song, I guess what was the process of going through kind of like the ethereal elements of this track? Because that was what really drew me a lot to why I think I enjoyed this one the most, is just because there's a lot more elements going on with it. So shouts to you. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I think for this one, it was the first track that I started working on, and the first one that we had kind of like at least for my experience, was the first one we had kind of the meat and potatoes of the song kind of in place. It was also the first one that I came across whenever I came over and watched them do all of their vocal takes, and kind of showed me the direction we were going. So it really, really kind of inspired me for just a different kind of style. And at the time, I was just listening to like a bunch of pretty like house music and like kind of poppy metal stuff. Just things that Greg would send me and things. And my partner Sinead is a crazy eclectic music person, so she sends me all sorts of stuff every time that I'm trying to look for something new. So just listening between all those people, I just kind of sponge from those ideas and make something from that. And with that one, I guess this song in particular, I was just trying to think of what could I do to make it kind of almost a poppy track, but it's still being a little metal style. So everything that I tried to add into the song was just to reinforce what was already there, or try and bop your head more than what you would already be doing. So that's kind of the approach for this entire album, which the last one before this had kind of the same element. It was a background element. But this one, I kind of just wanted it to beef up everything that was being presented to you already. And sometimes that's challenging, but this song, I had no issues with. This one was very easy. The moment that I listened to it, I knew exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, it feels very fluid, and I think that's probably why the enjoyment of it was so high for me. At least that's why I feel like most people, if they were going to listen to the Ansible, they'd be like, oh, this one's good, but it might not be one of my favorites. And for me, I feel like just the fluid nature of both, again, the more eclectic, like ethereal elements, and then having like, you know, what I know from you guys, which is like, you know, heaviness, but also just melody too. I think it just found this really great pairing, and that's what I think I really enjoyed about it the most, just because it was something that I thought was, from Here We Fade, was going to kind of go more towards, but didn't really. And then I feel like this one was like all of those things I kind of like mentally and like musically visualized in the last song. So I'm glad it kind of in turn came full circle a little bit. So really enjoyed this one. Mark, do you have any comments on this one, sir?
This was one of my favorites of the bunch for sure. I easily identified the vibe, atmosphere, and I enjoyed living in that headspace. So, okay, like, so let's just get to work. As I said previously, like a lot of these demos, by the time I was like serious, like my mind being like, okay, like you actually have something you're gonna put on here, as opposed to me just harassing the crap out of the band. So, so it was just like, okay, well then, like, let me, where there is room for me to work, like let me work. And I actually got to put a little like wheedly towards the end, and that was just all feel, just because Greg and, well, pretty much the whole band appropriately set them to where like that was just free flow. Like, okay, like I feel like I don't want to be I feel like I don't need to be technical, like in a guitar sense or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I just want to be feel, and I want to add to the song with like purpose, as opposed to being like, "Hey, I'm the new guy. What's up?" Like, no,
Watch me
like it
shred.
was, and I really enjoyed that because that's not my style. For one, two, I just it was just really cool to have like an added voice on that part besides just me feeling kind of like the textures and the that I did do in the background. This is probably this is my secret love track. Like I love every I love every song on the EP, but this one resonates with me a certain way, and it's not my favorite child like From Here We Fade, but this was definitely a close contender. So it was really a super joy just to work.
I think I'm just gonna go now and say I just loved the entire thing. If that wasn't already clearly evident already throughout this entire, video, but I think that I'm excited to see what Mark's gonna be doing. Like going further, because like there's already cool elements that I thought, man, he's doing some really cool shit, but I'm really excited to see the new shit where like Mark's like, yeah, I'm here. I'm about to do this shit. You know what I mean? So
it's fun, man. Like now there's more. Like, even though I live in San Antonio and everyone else primarily lives in Austin besides Derril, he lives clear across the country. But COVID's a lot less of a risk. Like we still like take precautions and stuff,
Sure, yeah.
but we're I can actually like get to know Greg as a guitar player / like we're in this together. So
yeah,
and then Nigel too, like Darian when he's free from shifts, like I get more and more of that time, and I'm building like blocks around everyone. So I think this next set of songs, at least for me, is gonna be a little bit more involved. But it's everything's sick. Everything I mean, if you dug this, I promise you will love them.
Or if you just love them in general, you should definitely go check them out, because honestly, I put them on my list as my one of my favorite bands that I want to see do big shit in 2022, and I don't usually say that if I don't mean it. So I do 100 million% mean it. These guys always bring the best shit. I literally would not be having them on if I didn't feel that way. So please go check it out. Existing to repeat, I'll leave it all below. This will probably get cut up because YouTube DMCA shit. So this is not gonna be. This will definitely be edited somewhat, but these guys are really fucking talented, and definitely if you have not heard of them to this point, please go check them out, and I'll pass it off to you guys. Where can they find you at? What do you guys got coming up? Yada yada yada. It's the spiel time. Tell people what the goods are.
Derril.
Thank you. Okay. So like we've been joking at, we're constantly working on new stuff. And we've got a big focus on a few songs. We're gonna again try something a little different than we have before. We're trying to starting to develop some new relationships with people to work with, to maybe get a booking agent and start being able to tour more often now that things are getting back to a point where we can actually do it. But you can find our music on any of your favorite streaming platforms. And we are on Instagram as the Ansible.atx. We got all the socials. Working on a TikTok.
The young folks.
The young folks.
That's a good tool. I think as social media apps go, like, people know what they're doing. It's pretty incredible to watch that stuff. But we'll be there soon. And we'll update you as soon as we get some tours going and get some of this new music finished up.
There we go. Well, again, if I haven't spieled for them enough, I'll continue to do so. Go check out the Ansible. Love these guys. They're great. Seriously, again, I kid you not, people will probably say that I'm lying or some fucking bullshit, but I will say that I have listened to this record since it has come out at least once a week. So that is some major staying power. And, you know, listen, if it's on my rotation, it should definitely be on your rotation because it is chef's kiss. So go check them out. All of the links will be below. If you enjoy our content here on Audio Addiction, please subscribe. Like goes a long way. And huge thanks to the Ansible for coming on and telling me about their record.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you. Thank you.
We are all good. We managed to do